So, I just heard this anime was especially bad, and, I decided to check it out because, in case you haven't figured it out, I am a masochist at times. Also, if it turns out I disagree with the majority opinion, I would state so in this review, and this is not one of those times. Master of Martial Arts is a 2008 action ecchi 5-episode OVA series that chronicles the life of Aya Isashima, who unwillingly participates in a secret tournament called the Martial Heart, where women combat each other for the prizes of the same name that supposedly grants the winner a wish of their heart's desire. See, when Aya was walking home from school with her best friend, as completely established several times, Natsume, they witnessed a street fight between a Miko, who is later to be named Miko, and a flight attendant. Now, this martial heart tournament, or platonic heart in Japan, is a tournament so secret that it's okay to have fights in broad daylight in public places where you're free to commit severe property damage. It's rumored by several people to exist, including a couple of children, and you can stage a fight in a maid cafe where several otaku can witness the battle at hand. Oh, it's a secret tournament, alright. It's super secret. Aya did not want to be a part of this tournament at first, but when her new best friend Miko disappeared, she continues to fight in the martial heart tournament to seek her missing friend. For you see, if you lose or even withdraw from the tournament as Miko did, the loser will be mysteriously transported to the to the Dark Realm. So, as you can tell from my tone, it's a safe bet for me to say I did not like this anime, or if I did, it's because there were moments where it's so bad it's hilarious. For starters, the plot is really fucking weak, with most of it just being a big exposition dump fest, especially in the first and last episode. And the tone of the show is just like an uncomfortable bumpy hill ride. There were moments where it feels pretty lighthearted and a little bit on the fun side, then later it goes to a pretty moody point. And then the final episode happens, and good Optimus Prime in the Matrix of Leadership, it was fucking wow. I won't spoil what happens in this review, but I will talk about in a following video to this. Now, as for the characters, or a complete lack thereof, and when I say lack thereof, I mean most of the characters really have no character to them whatsoever. See, Aya is a skilled schoolgirl martial artist trained by her mother, Suzuko, but she doesn't like using her skills because when she fought off some attackers in middle school, everyone feared her. In fact, the longer she fights, the more aggressive and violent she acts. Wow, this is like a poor man's Ikki Tousen. Hakufu had the same problem in the first season, but anyways. The only people who don't fear her is her friend Natsume and her other new friend Miko, her only two friends. Yeah, I'm saying friends a lot. There's a point to it other than the exposition, believe me. Now, every fight Aya wins in this anime, she never once feels triumphant or happy to achieve a victory or to live to fight another day. Then there's Miko. I really can't say much about her because she disappears after like the third act of the first episode, and then she just stays absent for a very, very long time. And then there are Aya's opponents: a flight attendant, a teacher, a mechanic, a police officer, nurse, geisha, some magical girl idol maid, and some psychic lady in red. And in case you don't see the pattern there, they're just cosplay fetish themes. They're characters who are so devoted to the costume they wear, you don't see them in any other uniform. They fight in the styles based to their theme, and some of them even have swimsuit variants of their outfits. Like the police officer. I was stunned that most of these characters even had names. You wouldn't know about that unless, at least in the case of the English dub, unless you looked it up online. Like the flight attendant, I don't think they mentioned her name once. Same thing with the final opponent Aya faces. And the only other person that may have the closest amount of character of all of Aya's opponents is the school teacher, Miss Suma. And they do have motivations for entering the tournament, but that's not revealed until the tail end of the series, and by then you'll be too fucking stupefied to pay attention because of what happens then. Now let's move on to the animation. It was done by Studio Arms, which is not out of their jurisdiction. They worked on Queen's Blade and seasons 2 through 4 of Ikki Tousen. But here's the kicker. Even though around the same time Arms was able to put out a well-animated 13-episode series with some great fight scenes to it, Ikki Tousen Great Guardians, I've reviewed that already, they weren't able to do the same for a 5-episode OVA. It was somehow cheaper in fucking quality all around. Now, while there are some distinct variety to the character designs, the rest of the art just looks really, really bad with some of the laziest interior backgrounds I've seen, like the burger restaurant. It was just nothing but bright orange lights. Plus, the character physiques, they're always off, like right down to their bust size. No joke, I wasn't even intentionally looking for this. In one scene from episode 2, I noticed the teacher kept changing breast sizes like 3 different times. In one shot, they were big enough to like bust open her shirt. But in another shot, they were smaller and I'm pretty sure they changed shape. And then finally, they ended up looking uneven with one boob bigger than the other. And she's not the only character. So if they can't even keep consistency with the female anatomy, then there's really no good reason to watch the show for the fan service alone if you plan to think that will be enough for you. And as for the fights, this is something that really pisses me off about these fan service fighting shows. Ikki Tousen's been improving on that. But... and I am going off script on this one, so I apologize for a lot of stuttering and, pauses and stuff. I'll try to edit this as best as I can. But, if you're going to do a show similar to this, or Ikki Tousen and Queen's Blade, I always thought you should at least balance out the fan service eye candy with some really good choreographed fight scenes, or at the very least, the fight scenes should be a little more important, and the fan service should be a little just, secondary or tertiary to the characters and plot and action. But for some reason, the Japanese animators do the fucking opposite, and it always gets on my nerves, because I actually want to see an anime that does that right, that balances a cast of all female fighters with some great action, great characters, and maybe the fan service is just secondary, where I will like the characters, I wouldn't mind seeing them in a swimsuit or something. But like I said, they do the opposite of that. They don't fucking try most of the time. And it's always irritating me. It really is. Like, it blows my mind. It's a very simple concept. I don't think it's that hard to do, and yet they can't fucking pull it off most of the time. And surprise, surprise, since Master of Martial Arts actually failed royally in the fan service department, they do much, much worse in the action animation department. Now, while the fights do come off as kinda sorta looking brutal, the animation just looks so cheap, and the characters have a real clunky way of moving as they swing a punch. And most of the impact hits are zoomed onto the opponent's body part. And speaking of, every time a character gets punched, yeah, you guessed it, much like Ikki Tousen, clothes explode and or fly off, leaving the combatants about 95% nude most of the time. However, even then I'm having a hard time comprehending how a punch to the face equals an opponent's shirt exploding. And that's the only way you could tell the opponents are damaged most of the time, because, they don't even show a whole lot of bruises and scratches. And the only other sign of damage is that they cough up blood. Now, and the fights. of course, they're just as gimmicky as WWF was back in the early 90s to late 80s with their gimmicks. The flight attendant actually has like a body launcher for her to deliver knee attacks, and the nurse uses needles, police officer uses cuffs, etc., etc. Predictable. But the one thing that does make me laugh is how Miss Suma fights. She has matching gloves and footwear where each part has a chemical element onto them. And when she shouts out chemicals, she actually uses the combination to form it. And when she connects the attack, the screen actually displays the formula, and I'm thinking to myself, this is Punch-Out logic right here. She's telegraphing her attacks, it's pretty obvious, even Natsumi points it out to Aya, and I'm just like, okay, that's just silly, that's really effing silly. Now the sound department is actually trying the hardest in this production. While the opening song will be pretty annoying for some viewers with its fast-paced J-rock, some of the background music is actually not that bad. And I did like the song that was used in the final episode. Now, and for some sound effects, you do hear a lot of painful sounding thwacks and hits and stuff. And if it weren't for that, the fights wouldn't even look half as brutal, because if you were to mute it, the animation would the bad animation would make it not look as violent as it pretends to be. And as for the dub, it blows my mind Funimation put this much effort to it. Props for the voice actors for trying and succeeding, but on a really bad show, it just shows how dedicated they are to their work, at least. Now, everyone plays their part well, and some were able to deliver some really cheesy lines rather straight while doing so. Like the flight attendant was actually giving out passenger announcements before she starts most of her fights. She's actually saying stuff like, "Attention passengers, please be seated, blah 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 bitty blah." And there was one time where in episode 4 where Aya comes back on stage in a maid costume complete with cat ears and a tail, and the two bystanders who were on the side of the opponent were like, "Is she wearing those?" "Yes, the legendary cat ears." This is the one time I actually wanted to see a Ghost Stories ADV style dub for a show like this. Seriously. Overall, poorly executed animation, weak plot, lame characters, can't even succeed in the fan service department due to inconsistent, character designs. Just makes Master of Martial Arts a pass for anyone who wants quality in their show, fan service or not. Now, unless of course you're looking for a horrible anime, then it's a high recommendation because, and I've said this with Green, that it will surpass your expectations, but this time I 100% mean it when this anime will surpass your expectations on how bad it gets. It may come off to you as just mildly mediocre from my review, but trust me, it gets worse. I'm not kidding, man. This show actually hits rock friggin' bottom. I mean, you know, if you're looking to buy it, DVD's dirt cheap, but if you can find a legal stream of it somewhere online, I will at least first guide you there. Now, by any chance, if you want to watch the show just because of the fan service, thinking that maybe I'm too harsh on this show, that I really shouldn't be judging it for the fan service because it's an ecchi anime, which I got criticism before in my first season of Ikki Tousen review. But if you think that the show is worth watching just for the fan service alone, I won't judge you for it. And you are free to disagree with me and take the plunge. But be warned, I think this anime insults people who are just looking for that. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I think most people who are already familiar with Master Martial Arts probably want me to talk about the motherlode. The ending, the final episode, the last 30 minutes. Which I will in the spoiler talk follow-up. I will dedicate that entire video to the ending. Because it is one of the worst endings I have ever seen in an anime, if not the absolute worst. I am really dead serious here. As you can tell from how quiet I sound and how calm I'm sounding a little, I really mean it when I say that this could be the worst ending I've ever seen to any anime. And I've seen a lot of anime with pretty bad endings, but this one takes the cake. Is this making you laugh? Am I dragging this on too long? Should I really stop talking like this? I don't know. I'm just dragging this on forever now. I really am. I mean, I could conclude this review right now, but this is just too funny at this point. Okay. So stay tuned with the spoiler talk follow-up, as well as a few other videos coming, few in between, whatever. And with that, Darkscream 217 signing out.